Evan Gould was actually offered the job as general manager. AGMs also were players together on the team many moons ago. Philip Hronek will remain, and Marcus Pettersson probably stays. So these are our updates over here. I am most particularly surprised about the idea of Marcus Pettersson sticking around in Vancouver. Like, this is a guy the Vancouver Canucks immediately traded for. They got Miller off the set, so you're not technically losing out on the roster spot, but when you think about the identity of the Vancouver Canucks and this entire notion that Quinn Hughes was going to leave, there was no reason to make the Marcus Pettersson trade. It was a big deal where the Canucks were panicking, they were trying to get things fast-tracked, they were trying to be as competitive as possible while Quinn Hughes was still on the team because they wanted to be able to convince Quinn Hughes to stick around. We know it didn't work, and I think in hindsight, if Vancouver knew that Quinn Hughes was indeed going to leave, there shouldn't have been a Marcus Pettersson trade. Why are you doing this trade? There's no reason to get this guy. Just go through the rebuild already, especially since the team was so bad post-trade. He had 11 points, but ultimately that production fell off quite a bit next season. 18 points in 82 games played in 25-26, and Marcus Pettersson no longer looks as effective as he once was. Sure, you can say it's a symptom of the system. It's the fact that Adam Foote as a head coach just does not know how to coach a defenseman compared to Adam Foote as a strict defensive coach in the previous years. Marcus Pettersson is one of these guys that has declined, but at the same time, his dollar amount and his term are pretty reasonable for the quality of play he provides. He's not a total bum, but he's definitely not as good as he was when he was acquired initially. So I'm sitting here thinking, hey, Marcus Pettersson is technically a roadblock in Vancouver's decor when you consider the presence of other guys like Elias Pettersson, Tom Nylander, Victoria Mancini, and Steve Bouya. The Vancouver Canucks have young defensemen that can play. Do you really need a Marcus Pettersson? Now, you can talk about veteran leadership. You could also talk about whether or not Marcus Pettersson would even test you that much in the trade block. But if that's the case, then Philip Hronek, why is he sticking around? This is a guy who is a lot more valuable trade-wise than Marcus Pettersson. If the Vancouver Canucks really do want to go through a rebuild, and they do want to start from the studs up, Philip Hronek has got to go. He's too good to be on this team. He is too valuable for the Vancouver Canucks. $7.25 million a year till the end of 2032, and he produced 49 points in 82 games last year. I also like the idea of opening up that power play one spot for Zeke Bouya. Philip Hronek on it, he's pretty alright, but he is somewhat of a roadblock for giving Zeke Bouya the keys to the car. Alex Edmund was taken off the first power play pretty quickly when Quinn Hughes made it
away from unrestricted free agency from the market. Normally people kind of excited about the start. Remember last summer when people said it's free agent market, nah, the next free agent market is a big one. Let's go through it, but if you're going to get turned down, it's going to get turned down again. So next year, this is what happens with the salary cap is this rise so very quickly. It's going to be good life. And considering free market isn't what it used to be either, although that may change this coming season. I'm really going to cross my fingers and hope that it does. It's just people when your players and things get better for the following season. So I'm really confident for this team. We've got 32 teams, obviously, and we've got 4 columns of 18 each. And so we'll go ahead and start things off. Not keep going ahead of time to that's automatically how things go. Apologies for one thing again over here. The unrestricted free agents this summer are John Carlson and Jacob Trudeau. Carlson has said that there hasn't been any formal discussions between the team and himself at this point in time. We'll see whether or not Anaheim brings him back. Trudeau, I don't think it makes sense to bring both defensemen back. Trudeau's had a very strong run in Anaheim. And then next year, so the names in green are next summer. So for anybody panics about green name on the board, that's 2027. I wanted to look ahead into that. And and Chris Kreider is one that stands out. So we're into the black. I've got 50 unrestricted free agents, and then I've got, I think, 15 pending restricted free agents. Those are in blue. The ones we're going to read are next year's unrestricted free agents. Now, Anaheim has $40.5 million in cap space, and according to Puck Media, 14 out of 23 skaters for next year's season are signed. The one thing that cap-friendly student is continue to do a 23-man roster, and so they project out this is a roster that works for their team, doesn't necessarily, and it's only 14 players in the contract right now. It's the extended probably going to be on the next year. So we'll see how it all turns out. I assume if you don't have them under the contract, I'll be going to the Anaheim players this year anyway, right? And we'll see. But Anaheim needs to keep an eye on this summer because they have cap space, as you can see, and they don't have a big name this year or next year that they have to worry about. Boston are planning on restricted free agents. I hope he stays. I really honestly be surprised if he doesn't. They have $15.42 million in cap space. 22 out of 23 signed for next year's roster. Next year, they have to worry about Thomas Zakas, but Boston's in pretty good shape when it comes to their cap situation. They may not have as much cap space as some other teams, but they don't need to worry about it so much either. Then we get to Buffalo. Buffalo, this run that they're on is going to make some contracts more expensive. Tuck is still pending unrestricted free agent with his name Watt. If he reaches July 1st as an unrestricted free agent, there are going to be a lot of teams calling about his services. Logan Stanley, and I've seen people complain about Stanley. I think Stanley's had his best season in the National Hockey League. I do. I don't know that he necessarily stays in Buffalo. He hits the market. He's a big defenseman. He's still young. It feels like he's a Carolina pickup. That's what it felt like to me. They ended up in Carolina or maybe St. Louis. Teams that like to take on in St. Louis. Gave big defensemen. The big defensemen in 2019 they won the cup. Everybody. And Carolina likes to pick up players that are good reclamation projects. They can do that a lot on the blue line. So, then you've got the pending restricted free agent. Baby Travis has had a better second half than he had first half. Still not going to be an overly expensive contract. Castleton never really got on track to Buffalo because of injuries this season. Next summer, Jason Zucker and Alex Lyon are both unrestricted free agents.
Are any boys buying yoga classes and redeeming them to keep me mobile? Actually, amazing. Live a win-win life.
International Delight just turned 40, and to celebrate, we made unexpected deliveries to the most remote homes in Canada.
Either of them are going to be overly expensive. I know that the run Buffalo's gone on Lions been the goalie record for most of it, but I don't think it's going to drive Lions value up a lot because he's in the third position. So it makes it more difficult to make an argument for big roles. Depending on restricted free agent, rental at the deadline, probably goes to market, although he has some big games in Calgary. We'll see what they do. Morgan Frost is an unrestricted free agent next summer, but most of that uncertainty they traded away. The uncertainty that was, Anderson and what they're going to do with Kadri's contract, well, now that's gone. And so, a lot of the uncertainty is gone. They have $18.04 million in cap space, 27 of 23 for the roster for next year. So, Florida Puck Media have got plenty of players. Does that affect whether or not they bring back Olsen? Obviously, yeah. Especially if they want to not get bunch of younger players, then the Olsen would be occupying a big arm there. Carolina, Greg Anderson. Speaking of guys having a good run at the exact same time, Greg Anderson, 8-0 in these playoffs, goals against average of very, very low. Save percentage close to perfect. So we might be getting a little price here to bring back. Now next year, Boston Bear and Kochetkov are on expiring contracts. I still think Greg Anderson probably gets the free agent market. I know that sounds crazy. And if you're in Carolina, you don't know that that necessarily changes so much. Do you bring Freddie Anderson back and risk losing either Bussy or Kochetkov? Do you decide to move on from one of them and Freddie? I love the story with Freddie Anderson, but he is on the other side, so we'll see what they do. They have $11.98 million in cap space for next year in Carolina, and 20 out of 23 players signed. So how many players on the roster that does like us give you a feeling for which teams don't really have a cap problem and which teams do. But we haven't got to Dallas yet. Then we've got Chicago. No cap problems in Chicago. Takeda is the expired contract. He may very well hit the market. And then next year, Arvid Solomon is one of those that could hit the market. Who could be pricey. They have $40.16 million in cap space for next season and 21 out of 23 signed. So, Chicago is one of the United States. Chicago and Arizona both teams to neighbor looking to have. But notice that it's not really a big free agent market. So usually when we add contracts money to so, against Colorado, Colorado is a team that has definitely got a cap front. Brett Burns is on his partner contract, so the Nick Blankenberg. Jack Drury is a restricted free agent this summer, and they only had $2.98 million in cap space, according to Puckpedia, with 17 out of 23 in the roster signed. And then next year, that's the big one, Cale Makar, Arturi London, and Scott Wedgwood. So, Wedgwood, similar story to Alex Lyons on the older side, but Wedgwood's played a lot more, he's a lot more important, I think, for Colorado. So while Lyons did for Buffalo, so we'll see what happens. Keep in mind that Colorado couldn't ask for a hit. With Makar, Wedgwood, and London, he's taking that 6 with all three unlikely. So once you're 1 year out to the contract expiration, you get a contract signed. And my guess is this summer, you'll see the big names getting signed earlier in the summer. You don't want to wait. Then Columbus, rounding out this portion, this column. Markman is on an expiring contract. I think it makes sense for him to stay. I think it makes sense for them to keep him too. And Blue Jenner, I can't see Blue Jenner playing anywhere else. Big surprise. I did see people saying, well, you never know with babies. I still would be surprised. And then you got Cole Jones and Jeffrey are on restricted free agent status as of July 1st this year. $34.16 million in cap space. So cap space will not be the reason why they don't sign him. They have 16 out of 23 for next year's roster signed. So there's definitely some understanding of the business restricted free agents that are on the board, but none of them are going to be overly expensive. So when you're asking, where's this guy, are they going to be expensive? The answer to that question is going to be no, so it doesn't really change the narrative around that team. All right, next up, Dallas. Jamie Bennett, Michael Buxton, both on expiring contracts. With the big name is Jason Robertson. Robertson had a great year, first time had a great year. They have 19 out of 23 players under contract next year that are on the roster, and $10.99 million in cap space. Not much space. The plan is Robertson and then Victor in there. I have a feeling this team is going to be running a little bit of a salary cap during the summer, and then they'll have to figure it out once they get into training camp. But I am really not sure that this season.
Basically, two objective storms. They have a slow window, but the timing must be perfect.
Letting go of Robertson. I know there are teams that are looking at top filters in to pry him away, awkward feet, all that fun stuff, but like Dallas is really just going to end up keeping Robertson no matter what. Detroit might be one of the last of the summer. There's a lot of names here. You've got Pat Christine, David Henry, David Perron, and Cam Television. 10 years ago, that was a skeleton group going down to 53, which is now it's on. I think team is so lucky they're going to have some opportunity if he decides to play, like he did in three. They have respect, no idea if he plays next year or not. Toronto, kind of the same story. Talbot, probably time for Talbot to move to other locations. They're still backup drop a little bit. We'll see. And then on next year's drop of unrestricted free agents, Alex DeBrincat. So you guys are going to get to work on getting DeBrincat extended, I think, by the stars. And John Gibson out of the contract that expires next year. After Toronto also, that contract that Detroit fans may not be entirely happy with, it's over next year. So one more year. He gives them insight end of the year, because we have a bunch of cap space and no one spending. Yeah, so this goes nuts. Edmonton doesn't really have a catch-all either. Jack Rostovich and Connor Ingles are both pending unrestricted free agents. I don't know if Ingram comes back, roster. I think it would make sense for them to bring him back for pursuit. They have 16.49 million in cap space, although 15 out of 23 signed for next year on their roster is going to Tuxedo. And I know people are going to ask me about that a lot, but it does end up being pretty accurate. I know with cap pro they would go through them. Well, but these guys could be on the roster, that's right, but they're trying to solidify who could be, how that. So Florida, there's not a cap friend necessarily. AJ Irving and Stroke are going to get these contracts, but the goaltending is going to be the question, right? They did say during Bobrovsky's their guy after the trade deadline was trading Bobrovsky, but Bobrovsky's on the older side of most goaltenders. Tarasov is also on the expiring contract. What's more going to do? They have $15.3 million in cap space, 18 out of 26 for next year's roster. So, for the other teams, is on the pending unrestricted free agent list, as is Scott Lawton. I think Lawton is probably more likely of the two to re-sign in LA if that takes place. And then next year, Darcy Kemper's contract comes to an. So one more year of Darcy Kemper. The Kings, $18.33 million in cap space for next season. 18 out of 23 signed for next year's roster. Then you've got Minnesota. Minnesota has some questions to answer. Matt Zuccarello is a pending. That's another group of reason just 10 years ago. Then you got ending restricted free agent Bobby Grant, so they have to re-sign Bobby Grant, who didn't necessarily get in great with Minnesota. So off to Boston you go, Bobby Grant. Bobby Grant and the Boston Bruins, it's got to happen. And then with these do next summer, we've already heard the rumblings about how Minnesota wants to hold on to him, and Ryan Hartman will do next summer as well. They have $13.51 million in cap space for next season, 7 for next 23 signs for the roster. Montreal, they have Patrick Laine. Patrick Laine is the only one that didn't have enough points to qualify necessarily to be put him on board. But I felt like he should be on board because Laine is so pretty big name, right? Whether he's played a lot lately or not. Kirby Doc is on his restricted free agent, yes, restricted free agent status until like first, and when he's been healthy. Not often, but when he's been healthy, Doc's been pretty good so about filling his playoffs. Maybe he's not one really that deep. I know we did, but outside of that, not bad. Montreal, if you want more year left on his contract, I agree. He's not going to play for Montreal next season. We'll see where he goes. As you can see, a lot of teams got cap space too on those that contract. I believe his cap is $3.15 million. $9.18 million in cap space for Montreal. 22 and 23 signed for next year. So their roster is pretty set. So while they only have a little over $9 million in cap space, Montreal's fine. They don't have anything to worry about. So God keeps giving these popular they're also in a while, but also comes with it. Then you've got Nashville. Eric Halla is depending on restricted free agent. Next year, Ryan O'Reilly's depending on restricted free agent. They have $28.25 million cap space, 21 out of 23 signed for next year on their roster. Again, and this is not PDF. Nashville has cap space. They don't have to worry about bringing in players. And if we're going to some contracts around the NHL that he would like to move on from. The one that's going to get a lot of attention because he's tired from Vancouver because he doesn't need to stop with the league and right around the other things now. Maybe you see something fading, maybe strip it down because the fair ball will find out soon enough. All right, next up, we'll move on to call number 3. Yesterday I talked about a team that were not goals, which is a surprise playoff participant for this year, got eliminated in the first round. Today, I'm going to talk about a team that were locked and goal and were a surprise first round participant this year before being knocked out. In the case of Boston Bruins, I don't think there was a lot of people that expected to be Buffalo. In the case of the Pittsburgh Penguins, there were a lot of people that expected over Philadelphia. Now, in the end, Philadelphia won that series 4-2. They outworked Pittsburgh in certain areas, and I think that there's times where the age starts to show up just a little bit. And as the season wore on, and a lot of guys have missed some time, and obviously players at 100%, I think Philly was able to see on that and take them out. So they were 41, 25, and 16, that's 98 points. So as I said, they lost in the first round of 18. That was the first thing they did in the playoffs for the season. 24, 25, they finished 34, 36 in the ball. They were 20 points in the playoffs. 23, 24, with 12 records for 88 points. Again, on playoffs. 20, 26, 40, 31, 11, that was for 91 points in the playoffs. The year prior to last year, in the playoffs for this year, 21, 22, they went 46, 25, 11, 100, and in the first round, they lost with 7 against the Raiders. This is a team that still hasn't won around since 2018, when they got eliminated around this cycle. Washington Capitals, they were on the Raiders in the first and they turned down like that. So look at the fact that it's written for the agency. A lot of names here. They have first look at the video on the restricted free agents. A little bit how to decide the individual colors. So you have Malkin, Sophie, wants to come back. Are they going to bring it back? There were a lot of folks that started that they didn't want them back. And denied those comments. But now it's still growth. There's something like that. Both on the offensive line. We'll try it together. Kevin Hayes didn't have a great year. By 8 pretty games by the end of the season. Anthony Nampa had a great year and also stayed healthy, and definitely something to talk about there. I think if you use the Penguins and Nampa to make that relationship last, which clearly it worked. Atari had a segment here for a lot of performance content, a lot of extra content that we stayed, start from our Bears and then stayed. Also on the blue line, stayed a pretty good year. And then Skinner in net was the backup by the end of that first matchup. I didn't see Logs as the starter next year. I don't think they bring Skinner back. Well, that's just not very team friendly deal. The restricted free agent side, you got cheated off. Great regular season, very quiet during the postseason, which might give them a little bit of pause. Cheated off at a great run. Can he do that again next year over a full 82 games with the Penguins? I think that's a valid question to ask. She Logs is a restricted free agent, so both their goaltenders are going to need some contract looked at. Then Slavin also is restricted free agent, spent most of the season in the AHL. He still thinks players got some NHL upside. Their cap space for next year is the same, $42.5 million. So if they do decide to let Malkin walk and they don't bring back Page or Mantha or any of these players, they have a lot of cap space. But as I mentioned, the free agent is going to go here today. Not a lot of big needs free agents, so they're eating out that cap space. So unless their plan was to bring in a big contract from another team, I guess they sit on that cap space. Their goal scored per game, it was third in National Hockey League at 3.54 goals scored per game. Goals against per game, 24. 3.15 goals against per game. So they struggled in net, they struggled on the blue line. Their power play and their penalty kill goes excellent. Their power play 24.1%, that is 7th overall in the National Hockey League. And their penalty kill 81.4%, which was 6th in the National Hockey League this season. Their general manager, of course, Kyle Dubas, much quieter, much lower profile in Pittsburgh than what he was in Toronto, of course. It's just not the same level of scrutiny in Pittsburgh as you get in Toronto. Coach Dan Hughes did a very good job, I thought, for his first year behind the bench. He's a very unique individual, very, very unique Dan Hughes. When you're watching the Pittsburgh game, you go, that's Dan Hughes. He always considered. Then we get into the scoring league. Sidney Crosby is scoring leader for the Penguins, 58 games, 29 goals, 45 assists, 74 points. I have a feeling it's not the first time Crosby's been their scoring leader, probably won't be the last. In the playoffs, 6 games, 1 goal, 4 assists for 5 points. Eric Carlson, 75 games, 15 goals, 51 assists for 66 points. And then in the playoffs, 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points in 6 games played. Brian Russ, very noisy during the regular season, kept quiet by Philly in the playoffs. 29 goals, 36 assists for 65 points in 72 games during the regular season. And in the playoffs, just a 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points in 6 games. Mantha, 81 games, 33 goals, 31 assists, 64 points. And then in the playoffs, he was blanketed by the Flyers, only recorded 1 assist in the 6 games during that series. Malkin, 56 games, 19 goals, 42 assists, 61 points. So still about the points per game that he did play. In the playoffs, he added skills and the 16 fight. Raquel, he had himself a good year too. He was in the lineup, a lot of injuries for the Pittsburgh this year. 60 games, 24 goals, 24 assists, 48 points. In the playoffs, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points in 6 games. Novak, 82 games, 16 goals, 26 assists, 42 points. In the playoffs, he added 2 assists in 6 games played. Utah, 43 games with the Penguins, which is counting what half played most of Columbus. 18 goals, 18 assists, 36 points. That's the strong production. But in the playoffs, no points in 6 games. Don't trust everybody down. Kindle was one of those who got shut down for a teenager. He has a pretty good year. 77 games, 17 goals, 18 assists, 35 points. I think Kindle's going to get into that 60-point range soon. Whether it's next year or not remains to be seen. The no points in 6 games in the playoffs. Then you got Ryan Shea, 6 goals, 29 assists, 35 points in 80 games during the regular season, and he added 1 assist in the 6 games played during the postseason. In that, as I mentioned, they lost to goal to goal. Nicest in their 12 and he's got the 18 save percentage in the playoffs, 2-1 with a 939 save percentage. If it was failing in this series, it was the damage that was 3-1 sooner. Skinner, 12-9-5 during the regular season with an 18.5 save percentage. During the playoffs, 0-3 with an 873 save percentage. Murdershaw may very well get that backup job next year if this is on from Skinner. He was 1-1-2 with an 897 save percentage. The numbers haven't been bad for Murdoch. Maybe you give him a shot at the backup job next year. Their top prospects, Will Horcock, left winger. Of course, his dad, Sean Horcock, had a nice long career in the NHL. He's seen as the top prospect most mainly according to the Athletic. So the Athletic's prospect report, which was from March of this year. Harrison Furnick, defenseman. He came up, he played, he looked good. So in the event that Burnick is in that lineup regularly next year, probably will be. Maybe you see Clifton moved on from as a result, right? So you got to make room for him. Russell McGrory, left winger, hasn't really broke through at the NHL level. We'll see if that happens next year or not. And a lot of guys who could be leaving. Maybe McGrory takes one of those available lineup spots. And then Bill Donovan. I know how to spell it. I just didn't remember what I'm talking about. Bill Donovan, left winger, 22 years of age. So there's a chance that he joins the team this coming season and plays at the NHL level. Whether or not this team makes the playoffs in 2027, I'm on the fence. I have no idea which way this is going to go. I think a lot of it depends on whether or not they do bring back Malkin and Manson and everybody. How they deal with if Skinner leaves, who you bring in for the backup position. There's definitely some things here. There are some reasons to believe they could be a playoff team again next year. Their AHL affiliate had a strong season, 101 points in 72 games. They were third out of 32 teams in the AHL, and they're still in the Calder Cup playoffs as I'm recording this. So, Wilkes-Barre had a decent season with the muscular Penguin. Pittsburgh Penguins had a pretty good season with the not so muscular Penguin. They tested that at the NHL level. But at any rate, yeah, I do like Kyle Dubas, the job that he's done. I do think the coaching is good, so for that reason, I think it could make the playoffs, but it's going to depend on how many players leave and replace them with that they. Erupted. This is the magnet of the eruption of Mount St. Helens. I'll show you close up. So that's the Southern Mountain. We'll bring up another there back there to go. I'm live. Don't be happy because Mount St. Helens. It's a pretty good little tourist trap. We went there on our way down to Oregon. We should have a couple times. I also want to say it's brought on the board. I will cover expiring entry-level contracts tomorrow. So I did the unrestricted free agent video earlier. And when I first got it, it was just UFAs. I kind of looked at it like, it's not a lot of big names here, so I put up some RFAs, and the list that I had from the end didn't include people that are on entry-level contracts expiring. I don't think it's necessarily, obviously, the are constantly negotiating. But they are all on the teams that have a ton of cap space and until they even spend even after signing them. So I'll talk about entry-level contracts expiring tomorrow. I'll get into some contract stuff tomorrow as well. Let me get into the idea of just qualifying offers too. As long as you're able to qualifying offers, I may throw that into that. Now, back in the day, I would just do the entire video, but instead of now, I'm putting that together. So we'll leave it as it is. And now we'll go to the top of the board and discuss the news surrounding the NHL. The Edmonton Oilers have been given permission by the Toronto Maple Leafs not to trade for Ruby. I've already seen this called that way. I've already seen this kind of seen as an interesting move. I don't think that's necessarily the answer. I don't. I like Ruby as coach, but for the Oilers, not as convinced. I think Facebook cross names telling up sides of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They still have not got permission to talk to Bruce Cassidy. Thanks so much for the playoff run. I get it. I do. So Cassidy at this point is kind of hot commodity. If he is allowed to get it into some other things, Vegas is still paying. He's still on the contract. So you shall see how that ends up turning out. Philip Gustafson, there didn't seem to be 100% in his most recent appearances, both in the playoffs and regular season. Maybe his head is the reason why. He's going to have to he haven't started in 2017, but we haven't seen a timeline on the Genesis side. And so Gustafson may very well miss some time during next season. Wallstead has proven that he's ready to be a starter. They got good depth in the organization. I think they'll be fine. But either way, hopefully Gustafson gets his mobility back, his lateral movement, so if your hips bugging it, that's going to be your lateral movement. How many goals do we see that are cross crease passing in, cross ice passing in? To get the wraparounds, you have to be able to make that move from one post to the other very quickly in today's NHL. are far better at their game now than they were years ago. They're far more picky about which shots they take too. So the Toronto Maple Leafs were injuring a lot of people, and Jay Woodcroft and Manny Malone were names that were floated up there by Elliot Friedman. I don't know if they've had interviews as of yet, but those are the kind of they're looking at. But also, they have interviews, and it's a preliminary interview, apparently not like serious at this point. But University of Denver coach David Carl has been interviewed regarding the coaching job in Toronto. We'll see how that goes. But David Carl has been very accomplished in the NCAA as well as coaching in the World Juniors. So that's success. I think bringing in a coach that hasn't been a head coach in the NHL before, I think that's a good idea. We'll see what Toronto goes that route. You obviously have to be looking at the big picture too, and all the Austin Matthews talk and everything. I think there'll be some input from the players once they get down to a few games. There may be some input given to the players as to they prefer. We'll see how that goes. Some teams don't give that allowance, and some teams do. The Chicoutimi segments, they have won the UMJHL championship for the first time in a while, for decades. I do remember the last time they won though. They joined Everett, Kitchener, and Kelowna, who were the hosts at the Memorial Cup, which gets started on Thursday, right? So, yeah, the Memorial Cup's always some fun hockey, so if you're not able to interest in plus going to the NHL, and the PWHL might be done by then, might I suggest the Memorial Cup. Good hockey, and you'll get a chance to see some good young players, good National Hockey League players, and some full names to them. So it's a pretty good hockey there. So then, of course, the big game is Buffalo-Montreal. It is Game 7. I have no idea what to expect. In Buffalo, what they were having fun in the last game, they channel that again tonight. They have to get that, bring that same energy. Montreal just has to play the ball on the road as they have for these playoffs. Both of these teams have been very good on the road. Both of these teams have been very good. Buffalo has to change that. And like they said, too, after that last Montreal game, and I think they said it after the last game, Buffalo lost it all too. These fans pay a lot of money for these tickets. So, I don't want to put extra pressure on the players, but I would imagine if you're going to Game 7, you kind of want to see your team win. So it's going to be a full building. It's going to be a loud building. There's going to be chants for Novak immediately, I would imagine. And if Buffalo's on it, you want to capitalize on that. You want to jump on Montreal and start planning your trip to Carolina. Carolina is experiencing the longest layoff between rounds than any team ever had. It's the longest period. I think there's 12 days off. They played 8 games in 36 days. So Carolina is very, very well rested to a level that no team ever has been in the National Hockey League. And the winner of this series gets to play against them starting off the ball. Now, for me, I think Montreal's the one that Carolina things got kind of punchy with during the regular season. Montreal also shows that they can beat Carolina during the regular season. It is different in playoffs. But Buffalo is a very good team as well, so we'll see how things go. Last night in the AHL, and there's no games tonight in the AHL, Colorado, right here, Colorado Eagles, they won the game 4-1 over Coachella Valley. They won the game one of the best of 5 series. So there's a very good chance that Colorado is going to win that series in 5. Maybe the Avs and the Eagles will find themselves in finals very, very soon. And maybe they can win multiple championships at different tiers. I don't know that that's happened. I'm not thinking I've done a list for that up. I would think I'd see a franchise winning the Stanley Cup and Calder Cup the same year. It's got to be rare. At any rate, Colorado has a good shot at it. And if they take out Coachella Valley for the game, they might get a little bit of a break for the next round of golf. Tonight, the PWHL season may very well come to an end. It's 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific, so about an hour and 15 minutes from now. Montreal's in Ottawa. Ottawa is down 2 games to nothing, so Ottawa has to win 3 in a row. Montreal just needs a victory.
Hey. Yeah, how's it going, galleys? It's Nick here. And over half a decade ago, I uploaded a relatively short video investigating Canonic, which is perhaps the most mysterious and bizarre artifact in Skyrim. We'll get into the specifics later, but for those of you who don't know, there is this strange location in the game known as the Boonjanar Sanctuary that features an ancient, dilapidated altar. When the time is right, the Dovahkiin can essentially temporally jump back to a period where this location was pristine, and if you do this with all of the game's other Dragon Priest masks in your inventory and present them before a now restored altar, the statuette will bestow the Canonic Helm to the player, which we can return with to the present. And, well, that's effectively all that's immediately made apparent. Exactly what this sanctuary is, its clearly special relationship with time, and the unique purpose of the Canonic Mask, what it is, why it was made, why it was kept in this altar and not on the head of a dragon priest, are all questions Bethesda leaves to ponder. Years ago, we examined all of those mysteries and followed the vague trail of clues scattered throughout the games that pointed in the direction of answers. How certain quests subtly suggest that other factions, particularly the Thalmor, seem to have been in pursuit of the masks themselves. How some circumstantial evidence hinted at who its thing belonged to, and how the story of the artifact seemed to have something serious to reveal about Skyrim's arcane past. Well, in the time since that initial investigation, more details initially missed have come to light, and new ones have been introduced by the Elder Scrolls Online and some developer comics, such that I think it's high time that we take another look. So, hold a chair by the fire, grab a bottle of Savion's finest mead, and relax, as we dive into the curious case of the Elder Scrolls V's Dragon Artifact. Buried within the skyboard of Mountain Range, which functions as a border between the holds of Whiterun in the south and Yolmarch in the north, lies an ancient, long-abandoned metropolis known as Boonjanar, or Northern Kingdom in Nova Zul, though the site is referred to as the Labyrinthian on our map, for reasons we'll get into later. Boonjanar, even from its exterior, especially from its exterior, really, is easily the most unique ruin of its kind, while most ancient in scope. The book, A Minor Maze, which first appears in the Elder Scrolls V, may elaborate on this location's importance. Quote, the foreboding ruins were originally built as a temple to the dragons. This grew into Boonjanar, a great city of that era. Boonjanar is believed by some to have been the capital of Skyrim at the height of the dragon cult's influence there. Little historical record exists to verify or refute this, but it is known that the highest-ranking priests of the cult met at Labyrinthian to discuss matters of ruling. Unquote. So the text suggests that this was an ancient center of Skyrim's dragon cult, or at least a place of extraordinary importance for the ancient dragon priests. Now, we've talked a bit about both the dragon cult and their priests on this channel over the years, but I'd like to take a moment to do a little of it again. Because not only could this be some good video or a refresher be in order, but there are some specific points regarding the cult's political economy and geography and that I think are especially relevant now. So, the history of Skyrim's human population dates back to sometime in the middle or late middle Moravian era, perhaps much earlier, when the first men, hailing from a now lost, frozen northern continent across the Sea of Ghosts known as Atmora, began sailing down and establishing a series of colonies along Skyrim's northern coast. By this point, the region was already densely populated by a native race of elves, known as the Falmer, or Snow Elves, whom the Atmorans initially had a peaceful relationship with as trade partners. Over time, though, as more humans made the crossing, relations gradually and then suddenly broke down as war erupted. It is said by human historians that the elves struck the first blow, launching a surprise sudden attack on a large human settlement known as Starthol, slaughtering much of its unprepared population, save its chief, an Atmoran known as Eastramor, and several of his sons. who subsequently fled back to their frozen homeland, where they amassed an army of 500 legendary companions and returned to Skyrim shores to exact vengeance. Ysgramor's subsequent military campaign was among the most successful in recorded history, easily crushing every Snow Elven army brought to the field against it before torching the Falmer's cities and temples. So great was the Atmoran desire to avenge Stargall. Our sources indicate Ysgramor's army engaged in something of a series of war crimes, going out of its way to hunt down and slay every elf it could get its hands on, with only small, isolated, relatively insignificant pockets of elven resistance holding out for a little longer. The end result was that the region firmly fell under Atmoran dominion by the end of the Nerethic era, no later than 4,500 years prior to the events of Skyrim, but likely significantly earlier. Ysgramor seems to have emerged from its victories as something of a king of Skyrim, but there's a lot of nuance here. It wouldn't be until the early First Era, when one of Ysgramor's descendants, Harold of Ysgramor, supposedly his 13th successor, would consolidate and unite the disparate Nord clans of Skyrim under a single banner, and formally declare the emergence of the Kingdom of Skyrim. Harold is also credited with relinquishing his family holdings in Atmora, suggesting that the House of Ysgramor may have continued to govern lands across the Sea of Ghosts sometime after the conquest of Skyrim. The fact that Harold is specifically mentioned as needing to pacify other Nord clans seems to suggest that there were some groups that did not fully bow to Ysgramor's house. Okay, cool story, Nate, but what does any of this have to do with dragon priests or Bronjunar more specifically? Well, sometime after Ysgramor's conquest in the Merethic era, but before the ascension of Harold and formal consolidation of Skyrim, the dragon cult rose to prominence over the region. Novas, who seem to have accompanied humans on their journey from Atmora to Skyrim, grew particularly authoritarian in relation to the populations they accompanied, and established a sort of tyranny over the region, making virtual slaves out of the population and insisting on the erection of dozens, perhaps hundreds of temples in their name across northern Tamriel. The dragons, while presiding over a sort of a human serfdom, had little interest in the day-to-day minutiae of life. Collecting their tributes, organizing their slave workers, supervising the construction of temples were all tasks that the winged children of Akatosh considered beneath them, and thus they delegated much of their authority to a small caste of particularly loyal and fanatical human supporters, who became their dragon priests. Middlemen who traced the day-to-day work of administration and in exchange were made petty tyrants over the people they supervised. Now, notably, several of our in-universe sources insist that Ysgramor himself was proclaimed something of an early king, and his descendants are described as possessing similar royal titles. So this system of dragon rule seems to have existed in parallel with a human royal family. It's unclear how that relationship played out. We'll get into this later, but perhaps Ysgramor and his heirs themselves were servants to the dragon lord. The intercession of Dovas could certainly help explain how humans were so effortlessly able to destroy the ancient and wealthy elven civilization they replaced. But for now, it's just speculation. A couple of books go so far as to even casually describe certain dragon priests as kings in their own right, an especially interesting insinuation. The book, The Dragon War, written by a certain Torvald Bjork, seems to imply that the cult dominated Skyrim's early kings and offers some explanation over its origins. Quote, in the early Merethic era, when Ysgramor first set foot on Tamriel, his people brought with them a faith that worshipped animal gods. Certain scholars believe that these primitive people actually worshipped the divines as we know them, just in the form of these totem animals. They deified the hawk, wolf, snake, moth, owl, whale, bear, fox, and the dragon. Every now and then, you can stumble across the broken stone totems in the farther reaches of Skyrim. Foremost among all animals was the dragon. In the ancient Nordic tongue, it was the drakon. Occasionally, the term Doldra is used, but the language or derivation of that is not known. Using either name was forbidden to all except the dragon priests. Grand temples were built to honor the dragons and appease them. Many of them survive today as ancient ruins haunted by Draugr and others. Undead dragon priests. Dragons, being dragons, embraced their role as god kings over men. After all, were they not fashioned in Akatosh's own image? Were they not superior in every way to the hordes of small, soft creatures that worship them? For dragons, power equals truth. They have the power, so therefore it must be true. Dragons granted small amounts of power to the dragon priests in exchange for absolute obedience. In turn, the dragon priests ruled men as equals to the kings. Dragons, of course, could not be bothered with actually ruling. In Amora, where Eastermore and his people came from, the dragon priests demanded tribute and set down laws and codes of living that kept peace between dragons and men. In Tamriel, they were not nearly as benevolent. It is unclear if this was due to an ambitious dragon priest, or a particular dragon, or a series of weak kings. Whatever the cause, the dragon priests began to rule with an iron fist, making virtual slaves of the rest of the population. Unquote. So this author suggests that the dragon cult was imported into Skyrim by its earliest human settlers, who were already worshipping Dobas alongside a totemic pantheon of other creatures. Dragons evidently existed in Amora, though seem to have been more hands-on. Their priests extracted tribute and unique masks by their benefactors as symbols of their authority, and powerful magical armors in their own right. Many dragon priests have survived through forms of lichdom and necromancy, with others being reawakened by Ulduin's return. And the player can encounter the various named priests across the region and loot their special masks as rewards for unique boss battles. There are also plenty of unmasked, unnamed dragon priest glitches lurking around as well. We'll return to the subject of the dragon cult and its history soon, but for now, just know that this location, Bronjunar, is attested in our records as being a major center, perhaps the capital of this regime in Skyrim. Clearly, this was once a uniquely important metropolis, and within the ruined center lies a small temple, which, while unassuming from the outside, has a very unique interior centerpiece. A large, clearly collapsing stone monument with the heads of 3 dragons and several more human-sized busts emerging from it. At the base of the sculpture lies a still blood-stained human skeleton with an orcish dagger plunged into the ribcage next to a strange wooden mask, and a note titled "Missive from Iron God," which reads, quote, "It seemed like an easy enough job. Roz and me done plenty like it before. Some chinless friend wants bodyguards for a trip into the mountains. Fine, easy clip for us." He goes on about this once forsaken mask of his the whole way. Of course, got a pretty good laugh when Roz snatched it, put it on her face. He threatened to fire us for that one. Not smart out here on your own. He realized that fact and shut up about it not paying. So we get here. He thumbs through some papers and mutters to himself. Never you mind that me and Braz had to cut through 10 stinking trolls just to get him here, and without so much as a warning, poof, he's put on that mask and vanished. Could have put my hands on his throat one moment, the next, he's not so much as thin air. Well, after a while, we didn't know what to do. Braz picks up her gear to head home when he poops back. That mask in his hand begs us not to leave him, says he needs us to wait. This is what he's paying us for. Then puts the mask back on his starry face, and then he's gone again. I'd seen folks do invisibility before, but a few swings of my fist proved he wasn't pulling out. Nothing there to hit. He shows up again, tells us he just needs more time. Has to figure out something about other masks, and vanishes again. That was yesterday, and I'm done with twiddling my thumbs and writing letters to myself. We are leaving come sunrise. And if he shows up again, I promise Azura I'm putting this dagger through his chest to keep him in one place. We'll drop him dead that he could have paid alive, but not the mask. That cursed thing can stay and rot with him, and the trolls right here. Unquote. This short document offers us our only source on the origins of the strange wooden mask next to it. Evidently, the artifact was brought here to this disrepaired altar by some sort of threatened scholar or intellectual and his hired guards, who then used it to disappear or something before he was betrayed by his company. Should we pick up and equip the wooden mask, whose description simply reads that it hums with an unfamiliar energy, we'll suddenly be teleported to a less dilapidated version of this temple, where the monument is now fully intact, and the room itself no longer ransacked. It would seem as though, we've only been confirmed, that the mask has transported us back in time, to a period when Bronjunar was still being maintained. We can't leave the temple and explore ancient Skyrim or anything in the setting. The doors are locked. However, the original purpose of the monument is finally made apparent. It features 8 separate busts, as our HUD reveals, one for each of the game's unique Dragon Priest masks, which can be acquired in the base game by slaying the 8 named Dragon Priest bosses scattered across the map. The one mask we used to get here is unnecessary. Once all 8 masks have been brought here and placed on their corresponding head, the great dragon skull at the center will open up and reveal a new, unique dragon priest mask called Konara. And it's clearly special. Aside from the unique circumstances in which we acquire it, Konara boasts a unique golden and tusked appearance. And when born, it has a chance to produce an effect that suddenly heals the player and damages nearby enemies when your HP bar is below 20%. Furthermore, and the item's description doesn't mention this, but it can also occasionally summon a ghostly dragon priest that aids you in combat for 60 seconds. A look in the game files reveals that the name of this unique enchantment, at least internally, is Konar's Privilege. This may be of some note, given that each of the Dragon Priest mask enchantments has its own internal name we can view in the files, but doesn't appear in the game, and they're all somewhat dramatic. The mask Mokun's enchantment is called Mokun Mastery. The mask of Otar's is called Otar's Will. Narkin's is a dark sacrifice. You get the idea. Interestingly enough, the wooden mask's enchantment name is Bronjunar's Mystery. Indeed, Kennard and the wooden mask are obviously the most unique of Skyrim's Dragon Priest set, in their appearance, in their ability, and most of all, in the strange way in which they're all obtained, forcing the Dovahkiin to complete something of an Easter egg, gathering all prior masks and interacting with a unique one to journey to the time-locked temple in which Kennard is obtained. Notably, this is all a completely unmarked series of events. There are no quest markers or dialogue explaining this process. It can just happen. Although Nalakin, one of the 8 masks needed to obtain Kennard, can only obtain during Dragon Priest battles that happens at the climax of the main quest line and Skolden. So this whole process doesn't necessarily require that the main storyline be completed. This all leads us to the obvious central question of our investigation. What is Konara? Did it belong to a previous Dragon Priest? If so, who and what purpose did it serve? Furthermore, what was the nature of that strange wooden mask that transported us back in time? Well, we're still not even done with the full scale of this mystery quite yet. Further complicating our investigation is the fact that someone, or some group at least, seems to have been seeking out the Konaric mask prior to our arrival. Not only is this made clear by the dead Breton, who evidently left the wooden mask here, but across the map, at the entrance to the ancient Nord ruin of Forelhost in the Rift, we can encounter an ogre by the name of Captain Valor, who will be dressed in the armor of whichever faction the Dragonborn is sided with in Skyrim's Civil War. If the player has yet to pick a side by the time you meet him, he'll don the apparel of whichever side you escaped Helgen with. Upon our approach, Captain Valmir will explain that he's been sent here under order from either General Tullius or Stormcloak to clear this ruin and recover the mask of Regan, Forelhost's ancient resident dragon priest, stating that the recovery of this mask is of the utmost importance for the war effort, though a specific explanation as to why is above the Dovahkiin's pay grade. Valmir will order that the Dragonborn help him complete his mission by doing it all for him, promising a hefty reward of coin and possible referral of promotion once the player has stormed the ruin and returned the mask of Regan to him. Hilariously, once we've done all that, once we've cleared the dungeon, slayed the priest, and exited with the mask, we'll find Captain Valmir suddenly in the armor of the opposite Civil War faction from the one he started, trying to convince a different side soldier to execute the same mission. So if Valmir started as an Imperial, when we come out, he'll be dressed as a Stormcloak now. Get the idea. As soon as he spots us, realizing the jig is up, the armor will turn off, serving as one last boss. On the traitor's body, we'll find a note titled Valmir's Orders, which reads, quote, "You will proceed to the ruins of Forelhost and retrieve the mask from the dragon cult there. If you are discovered in person..."
New Clorox Sensiva. Looks like Clorox. Smells like lavender. Feels like trusted clean, long lasting.
Well, that was a pretty amazing game. That was an absolutely fantastic game in Montreal Buffalo. I mean, props all around. I just have that one game. Novak versus Luukkonen. I was surprised they went back to Luukkonen. It was the right call. I do believe it was the right call. This was the 203rd Game 7 in NHL history, and it started a half an hour earlier than I thought it was going to. 7 of them. But I thought 5 o'clock. Every game was 5 o'clock, and this one 4:30. This third, why not? It's like Gary Bettman goes, oh, if he thinks it's wet, drop the puck earlier. Drop it earlier. I'm just going to watch the spurt. All right, so they did Rob Ray punching montage, and if you're going to show Rob Ray's career, you can't have to show the punching. They run a lot of goals. No offense to Rob Ray, they run a lot of goals. And then he's banging the drum, wearing the JFG shirt, which of course is the phrase that Lindy Ruff made popular before Game 6. And I wouldn't mind one of those shirts myself, and they had the beer savers back as well. I wouldn't mind one of those. I don't drink beer. I don't drink alcohol. Right now I've got this Canada Dry Strawberry zero sugar. So there you go. Here. Amazing game. Absolutely amazing game. So early whistles, I thought both teams looked a little nervous early on. We had a lot of whistles early on in the game. Offsides, icings, everything. Just a lot of whistles early on. 4 whistles in the first minute, 2 seconds. So I thought there was going to be Captain and Canterbury when it's close, and great pressure by Montreal follows that. The only shot on that 2.5 minutes is belongs to Montreal. Team straight turnovers, the Sabres pressure at 3 minutes. Strong checking at both ends by Montreal. They put on the work boots early. Well, there's games, but you know what I mean. And then at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, they cover. It's a net feed that goes in off the skate. I want the third shot on net for Montreal. The assistant rules in taxiing. So Montreal works for it. They get the lead. 1-0 in Buffalo. The fans were upset. It looked like they were upset that there was no challenge. These fans were very, very on edge all night. These fans were ready to explode at any given moment. But it wasn't a kick. So the reason that they didn't challenge is because yes, it went off the skate, but it wasn't a kick. The Sabres want to respond. Jones has a shot to skip inside as Buffalo gets the pressure. Hudson has a run chance to save. Coffee with the backhand. He's not the snow. Doctor 5-2 for Montreal at 7 minutes. So, good start for Montreal. The Sabres pressure at 7 minutes, but just to get to the other side. So, Coffee and backhand.
Shit!
Yes, clear.
Sure, no, you were drinking
Plans
that.
and then right chance for the save. The fans call on the referee is not, as I said, the fans will be throwing. Okay. Matt's pressure with 9 minutes left. The net feeds a goal off the rush back gets blocked. Caulfield's dropped twice, and then Buffalo delayed game after that. Really excited to see some fans in front of that. There's early cycle, Hawks clears, and another clears. They cycle, the 50 cars go wide, and then at 14:29, we'll do right after. Chris Cuthbert said that the secondary scoring hadn't shown up in the playoffs and the power play for Montreal. Of course, they scored here. Muldoon's just off the bench at 14:29. Suzuki and Hudson making assist. It's a long time in the right circle on a nice cross-side pass. Montreal has a 2-0 lead. That was the 10th shot for Montreal. Buffalo had 6. Things were reversed from here in terms of the shots on that. Buffalo pressure to respond. Taxier is denied on a breakaway. Perrier then breaks up a 2-on-1. The fans call on the referee is not. Benson fires a wide on rush to get a big hit by Julia Flint. The Sabres pressure. The Habits blocks the pass to the net. Todd has the net feed to stick beside. Greenway has a hit on this one. Chester on some spears. We have a 2-0 lead for Montreal. 6-1 minutes in Buffalo. Second period, early pressure by the Sabres and lots of pressure by Buffalo. Zucker has a slot shot that goes wide for the best foul. We get a 4-minute penalty for Caden Gooley. It's for two. Up in his stick, the defensive stick, so that penalty gets decision on the two. Jolie fires one wide in the rush. There's pressure by Buffalo. 5 minutes in. The shots are just 3 apiece. And I felt like it's one of those interesting things when you're watching the game, you're like, this team's controlling, and then you look at the shots and go, they're not getting as much as the net. As the thing, McLeod has a lot of face shots pretending to have to keeping the Sabres to the outside. And they're keeping the building quiet at this point. The problem is they're also in their own zone a lot at this stage. Free throw whistles for the third at this point in the game. Caulfield then has a slot fence, 50 side. Quinn has a sharp angle shot that hits the side of the net. Thompson has a shot that's blocked out. The Sabres building momentum and fans that they have to call those. So they really stayed out of it for the most part, but of course fans don't really like it that much from the referee standard because you don't want to influence the outcome, but you kind of are at the same time, right? Anderson fires one high and breakaway, crashes into the net, gets taken up there. I wouldn't be surprised if he burst the rib on that and he went right into the post. He's going 34 kilometers an hour on that, 20 miles an hour. So don't interrupt his defenders. Did get an extra straight off the team straight rushes after that. There's a glove save that on Caulfield. Sabres pressure at the half. Nearness from Allenstein. More pressure by Buffalo than after a step behind at this point, really chasing the puck.
Hot save went on. There you go.
Don't touch that home the next chance for talk so they can get a line change. So now we're expecting that pattern must all fit in before the playoffs. Caulfield has a throw make a front and sluts out, half get pinned down again, and a goal was originally credited to Samuelson at 13-19. It's from the slot past the screen of the puck. Deflects in off Greenway, so Greenway gets credited with the goal. Samuelson the challenge side with the assists. That cuts Montreal leads 2-1. The Donuts chance get started. They don't work. I'm just saying right now, the chance to fix goaltender, I understand, we want to do this, they don't work. I have noticed that when fans on the goaltender, my goaltender is a pretty good team, most often. Montreal looks to respond. They're kept to the inside. There's a near miss for Benson as the Sabres are looking to tie it. Shots are 7-6 Buffalo with 5.5 minutes left. Zone time for Montreal. Should have the next pass to the net? Absolutely not. Caulfield has a rush chance to tell. Allenstein has the net drive chance to save. Hudson has the shot that's for the side. Sabres pressure with a minute and a half left. John fires on high during that. The Habs get hit down again, and they're clearing for line changes. So every time they get the puck, they're just getting it out to neutral zone, try to get a line change, try to get somebody off the ice. And what that does is it allows Buffalo to rearm and just come right back in. Things get pushed in home by Jovic. North can't very well post during the closing seconds. There's chances, but it stays 2-1 Montreal through 40 minutes. Third period, keep straight early turnovers. Then it's an offensive zone penalty. It's a high stick. You have to call the high stick. So it's the Sabres first and want to be their only power play of the game. Really clear, Buffalo cycles. Quinn has a shot that saved. The Habs clear again, and there's another clear call for that. New has the net seat that's blocked during a short-handed play. And then there's another clear by Montreal that ends in this one shot allowed during the power play. Buffalo presses after it's done. The Habs fail to clear, then the ice it. As Buffalo starts building momentum again. Shots are 2-0 Buffalo in 5 minutes. Newbog fires on wide, 3 on receiving rush, and then there's a post for Memphis and shortly after that. Derrida has a net, that's picked off, Jovic gets bumped, there's no call, but it's one of those examples. So the penalty during regular season, yes, Zucker actually made contact with his mask, his head during that. So two things happen. You don't get a penalty and no concussion spotted. Because during the regular season, I think the concussion spotted probably would take it over. But for the second round, it's game 7. It was fine. Probably is fine. It's fine. Then it's 6.7 not long after that. On the net drive, Jones with Swan tie it. Howard to file with the assist. So Buffalo has that momentum. That non-call on listener stands out. But like I said, both teams were guilty of infractions today that were not called because we're in game 7. It's Rams game. And we're on fun. So Coffee Carl on 9 5 to the spot and Josh was 4-0 Buffalo with 7 minutes in. So Montreal gets to step behind. Montreal pressures at 7.5 minutes. Maladus has a rush chance to save. The half gets hit down again. The fans call one, just the referee. No, absolutely not. Caulfield can't very much close. Look at it roll. Sabres score after the whistle. That bailed out Montreal. That puck went through Jovic. It did. That whistle saved Montreal's season. Because that would make it 3-2 for Buffalo. And if that goes in and if it's goal, then I don't think there's a chance for Montreal. The shots are 6-1 for Buffalo in the half. So Buffalo is outplaying Montreal, and could they have the lead? Yes, absolutely. But once that whistle goes, they can't review it. They can't call it continuation either because the player plays the puck after them. Now, if that puck had just gone into the net, but went to Jovic, they got continuation and would have been the goal. So just one of those things. So the refs totally sucked because fans obviously upset with how that turned out. Who we had the net team is blocked by clear. I put Sabres to goodness. The level of play they show just that much higher up than the Montreal Canadiens. It's not dissimilar to the last game in the series between Tampa and Montreal. It's absolutely bonkers. Sabres forcing turnovers, and they're a step ahead of Montreal at this point in the game. Penalties tonight in the doorstep, Novak holds. Novak knew at this point, I would imagine, just that. That is going to be required for Montreal to win this. Darlene has a risk in the towel. The Sabres pressure with 5 minutes left. The fans call one. The referee does not. The Habs have the 3 hours to get broken up, and they got stuck on 2 shots for a while in the period. Montreal just was not getting anything to the net. So time, yes, getting it to the net. That wasn't happening. The Habs, Darlene had a one-timer left blocked out. Anderson denied after splitting the defense. Habs then guilty the next thing with 50.8 seconds left. Montreal Ice really tonight. They were bailed out. They were bailed out because I don't know how they got into something. But we had gone overtime. The 65 we went overtime. First time in the series that we got overtime, and of course it's game 7. It's 29. The Habs are turning it over again. Early after that overtime. Benson has a shot to say, and the Habs have never won a game 7 in overtime on the road in their very, very, very long history. Shot attempts at this point we're getting the overtime rolling. 80 to 50 for Buffalo. So Buffalo's up shooting them, and the shot attempts are high. Offense in zone time, they dominated. It's a tie game. It's no best. Was fantastic. Matheson has a net kicks picked off Montreal pressures in 4 minutes. There's an icing call for Buffalo that gets the booze. They said these fans were dialed in tonight.
Siggy's 3 times more protein than the eating yogurt. Siggy's. Simple is better.
Every time I try trading, I feel like I need a finance degree.
Timmons has the shot that's blocked out. Josh Anderson fires one wide on the right. I think it just glanced off the outside of the post. Thompson has a 2-on-1 chance. That's staying and held. Those 2 pucks from Montreal. Every time Montreal at the puck. Heavy forechecking. I thought Benson was probably a good forechecking the inside. The Habs started with 8.5 minutes. Carried on at the slot shot at 55. Shots at 3-2 for Montreal at 10.5 minutes. Guys, surprise line, and then Buffalo gets opportunity to get some shots. Thompson has a 6 shot as well. And then we start. At least, and much like the overstatement, but on zone entry at 11 minutes and 22 seconds, Alex Newcomb ends this from a distance. 38 with the assist on the turnover. It was weird because Montreal turned this puck over a lot. I haven't looked at stats on turnovers, but Montreal should be high because I watched it. And Montreal wins this one in overtime 3-2. They win the series. Montreal's playing Carolina. So that series will start on Thursday. Carolina will have had about 6 weeks off. And Montreal gets like a day to recover and, ice up your wounds, and then off you go. So it's a nice game. Caulfield had 5 shots. Might have had his best game of the playoffs, but he doesn't get on the board. Doc had 4 hits in this game. On the Buffalo side, Thompson had 5 shots. He was very good. Valenstein had 4 hits. I thought Darlene had a fantastic game too. Darlene was, I'm not going to say beside himself, but after the game he didn't look happy. Lukanen did throw his helmet after the game. I put this on the opinion. Now that goal from the distance, there was traffic in front of the net as well. I don't know if I want to look at it. But Jovic, 37 saves on 39 shots. The mockery by other fans, and we've heard in the last series as well with Tampa, and we thought it seems to beat on us. He was smiling the whole time. I'm like, what are you smiling about? Your team's getting 8 in. Why are you smiling? But your work is so positive. And then Lukanen 22 saves on 25 shots. Because he lost the goal in the overtime, it does hurt his save percentage overall. But I thought Lukanen played well. He made some really good saves in this game. Montreal scored on the only power play that had Buffalo go 0-1. And the Jets 28-21 Montreal. I'm surprised they are scoring 49 in this game. I felt like there were a lot of big hits. Maybe they didn't get 40 this hits. Maybe they were just cut off after the game. But what what a series. What an amazing game. This series was everything that I thought it would be and hoped it would be. And I don't know why I was rooting for Montreal in this series. I don't know what's happened to me. I don't know if I have to turn in my Boston Bruins fandom card. I don't know. I cannot recall the last time I rooted for Montreal in any series outside of, I guess in 2021 against Tampa in the final. I rooted for them. I never serious that run that I cheered for them, but this is weird. And I even said to Sean after this goal, I said, I'm not sure what's happening. I'm celebrating a Montreal win, and I celebrated the next time win earlier in the playoffs. Something has gone very, very wrong. So, at any rate, yeah, there you go. Buffalo, nothing to hang their heads about. I'm going to say for Buffalo fans, they stayed after the game, still cheers for the team. They were very excited. And this Buffalo team is a very good young team. They're only going to get better. Montreal's proven they're a contender. I did see people laughing when I said Montreal. I haven't seen that discussion recently. And now they get to play against Carolina. No one will expect Montreal to beat Carolina. There's no chance that they'll expect them to win the series. But I don't know. Montreal just has this rope-a-dope way of playing, and Gilbert, the more shots he gets, the better he is in that. And he strums off bad games, he strums off bad goals. Even when they interview him after the game, they're like, "Oh, how do you feel about the conference final?" He's like, "I'm a rookie." I was like, "There's no panic here." He is the Bruins from Montreal what they did in 2019 for Blues. Remember when he's like, I basically didn't have any panic. He doesn't have any something to get stressed out or something like that. And they have some of that same energy. Well, we'll see how far this can go. But congratulations to the Montreal Canadiens and Buffalo Bills. Buffalo is broken. And that breakaway chance, and over time, pretty close to the line. Montreal's going to here he is. Over the line, gets to the box. Is he playing Carolina in the Eastern Conference Final? Well,
Playoffs are all about writing amazing stories, and Alex Newhook's been there before. He's won it. You see the frustration of looking at about a playoff series. 7-0. Scored the game winner in Tampa, and just a turnover at the offensive line, a smart play here by Terry. And listen, never shoot the puck through the traffic, to the legs of Tommy, and Lucan can't get a hold of it. Underneath the glove of the pad, the sound of the wheels, it hits the post and goes in. And back-to-back game second sevens, it's Alex Newhook with the game-winning goal. What a story. Game 7 in Tampa on the regulation time. He does one better tonight in overtime. Game 7, round 2. Back by North. Dolly. Should come dead on the minus 3. And taken by Alexander Jimmy. And there's the block. Shots down. Wins game 7. Alex Newhook. Both game 7s against playoffs for Montreal. It's as multiple game 7 clinches in the single postseason. Nathan Boyden from Boston in 2011 when they won the Stanley Cup. Looking, you see his frustration as he throws his mask down the tunnel. Nothing played. There's nothing the Sabres have controlled much of the last 2 periods, most of overtime. I mentioned earlier, there is no such thing as a match done in overtime. And Alex Newhook's great series continues. His 6th goal is a little bit of a turnover, and still nothing going on. And Kerry punches it the Newhook. And cleanly beats Lukanen on the far side. Maybe you can have a flying screen as Evans goes to the front of the net, it goes under the glove, over the pad. And your game 7 hero is Alex Newhook. And the Montreal Canadiens on the road again move on to the next round. 7th goal of playoffs. 6th in this series for Newhook. Jovic was magnificent, and they go crazy in the middle. A remarkable series. It looks like he stops it on the game. As I originally chance in overtime, but pretty close to the line. Amateur's going to work it out. Here he is. Over the line, gets the hook. Shoot that. He's going to play Carolina in the Eastern Conference Final. Playoffs are all about writing amazing stories, and Alex Newhook's been there before. He's won it. You see the frustration of looking at both a playoff series. 7-0. Scored the game winner in Tampa, and just a turnover at the offensive line. A smart play here by Terry. And let's see, never shoot the puck through the traffic, to the legs of Tommy, and Lucan can't get a hold of it. Underneath the glove of the pad, the sound of the wheels, it hits the post and goes in. And back-to-back game 7s, it's Alex Newhook with the game-winning goal. What a story. Game 7 in Tampa in regulation time. He does one better tonight in overtime. Game 7, round 2. Back by North. Dolly. That's the target dead on the minus 3. And taken by Alexander Jimmy. And there's the block. Shots down. Wins game 7. Game 7 playoffs. Game 7 playoffs in the single season. James and the Voices of Boston in 2011 won the Stanley Cup. Look and you see his frustration as he pulls his mask down to tunnel. Nothing played. There's nothing going on. The Seabirds have control. Because of the last two periods, most of them were going. And I mentioned earlier, there is no such thing as a bad shot in overtime. And Alex Newhook's great series continues. It's 6-0. It's a little bit of turnover. There's still nothing going on. And Kerry find this across the field. They've got those hot stallions. And Cleveland is confident on the north side. Maybe a bit of a fly screen as Evans goes to the front of the net. He goes under the glove, over the pad. And your Game 7 hero is Alex Newhook. And the Montreal Canadiens on the road again move on to the next round. Seventh goal of the playoffs. Sixth in this series for Newhook. Do this.
What else? Last night, I had one disagreement with the and my team friendly. Every had a little article on day one. I didn't know what. Problems solved, you can leave it back. No tickets, no questions, no headaches. Only one global family. But you look back, it wasn't a dream, because her IT operations handled the deal. I managed. Oh man, the Sabres fans, they're ticked off. They're ticked off that the referees blew the whistle before that puck crossed the goal line. It's still 2-2 with 9 minutes to go here in the third. And we gotta get the reactions out there, baby. Shots are 31-20. That's not great, man. That is admittedly not great. Slap, bro, what are you doing? Control, what was that, dude? You're Slapkovsky. Oh boy. There's a conversation that can be had about Uri Slapkovsky. Okay, now it's Newhook's turn. Oh, nice try, Newhook. Are we gonna get Game 7 overtime? Game 7 overtime? Are we? I don't know, we'll see. Oh my gosh, Josh Anderson, you can't score on breakaways. Oh my gosh. Is that going to be the killer for Montreal in this game? No, Duke Thompson was dirty one too. Texier, bro, you gotta control that. No way. Montreal has not had any sort of sustained zone time in this past 10 minutes, it feels. Now final 15 seconds of the third. Can they get one more shot? No, they'll just get it deep. That's gonna be it, maybe. We're going to overtime. Game 7 overtime. Now, you know what? Knowing these two teams and knowing what's been happening in this series, we're probably seeing a goal in the first, 5 minutes of overtime. I mean, that's the way it's been going over the past few games here. I guess we can talk about the game itself. Let's just use this time to break down what's been going on in this hockey contest. So, opening period, Montreal goes up 2-0. Philippe Deneau and Zachary Bolduc. I mean, This happened last game too. The Canadians had a 3-1 lead, they choked it. Josh Anderson wins the puck battle. It comes back to Goody. He throws it in front and it deflects off of Philly Cano's skate and in. Somebody grab a pizza. He wants it. And shortly after on the power play, Zachary Bolduc makes it 2-0 Montreal with his third of the playoffs. Hudson, shot gets deflected into the corner. Suzuki out in front, and it's a beautiful feed, tape to Bolduc. It's 2-0 Montreal. And at this point, if you look at the tail of the tape, the Habs, they were outchancing the Buffalo Sabres by a pretty decent margin at this point in the game. But as the contest continued, you can see it right here. Buffalo ended the second, started the third. They really started to get their own opportunities. And that is exactly what they ended up converting on here in this second and third period. Jordan Greenway makes it 2-1 as he's able to deflect a puck right out in front there. Little play goes back to Samuelson. He throws it on goal, and it hits Greenway and in. Jakub Dobeš cannot see it. There's literally 5 bodies in front of him from both teams on the screen. Cannot blame the goalie for that one. The goaltender just could not see it. Like, at this frame, look at all the guys in front there. He didn't even react when Matthias Samuelson shot the puck. He just kind of stood there and then went by and it's like, oh, it's in the back of the net. And then you had yourselves the Rasmus Dahlin 2-2 tying goal in the third period. Yet another one of these plays where the Sabres just control. Kirby Dach ends up committing to Owen Power rather than Rasmus Dahlin, who is his man. And he got Bolduc already on Power. You don't need another guy to try to block that shooting lane. The second Dach comes in and tries to commit to the shooter, hypothetical shooter, that's when the pass is made, and Rasmus Dahlin on a tight angle is able to get it by Jakub Dobeš. Look at the play right here. So Power's got it. Bolduc is on him. Kirby Dach is supposed to be on Dahlin. But then, a little bit later, Dach commits to the shooting lane for Power, which opens up that pass for Dahlin and allows Dobeš to get beat. Jakub Dobeš, by the way, he got hit in the head by Jason Zucker. The referees didn't call it a penalty. Ridiculous as it is, they said on the broadcast that, oh, maybe they didn't call it a penalty because Jakub Dobeš kind of went back a little bit and maybe over-exaggerated the contact. But you gotta call that, man. I don't know. I don't feel great heading into this overtime, but we will see what happens. We will see. All right, here we go. Overtime. Leader gets a date with the Canes. That's true, too. Wow, Noah Dobson has never scored a playoff goal. That's crazy. You would think that he would have been a part of some of those Islanders teams that made it to the third round those years ago, but I guess not, eh? I gotta Google that. Noah Dobson. Seriously, he has no playoff goals? Let's check it out over here. Oh my gosh, yeah, Noah Dobson has no playoff goals throughout his entire NHL career. Goodness, he's played 38 games in the playoffs, but no goals, 11 assists. That's ridiculous. I didn't realize Noah Dobson was starving. All right, Slavkovsky, please prove everybody wrong. Slav! Dude, what was that? What was that? What was that? Whoa! Thompson! It's still there! Yo! Montreal survived that? How did they survive that? Oh my gosh! What a terrible turnover in the Sabres zone, which results in a 2-on-1. And Tage Thompson cannot bury it. Dobeš down and out. And Anderson goes off the post. Oh my gosh. Get it out, get it out. All right, yeah, there we go. Let's go, Montreal. Let's go. time! Tampa Bay, Buffalo, you all have flown to New York! Oh my gosh! That was out of nowhere! That was out of nowhere! Newhart! Alex Newhart! Alex Newhart! Alex Newhart! Montreal survives overtime in a game. Oh, look at UPL chucking the helmet out. Oh man, he's upset. He's upset. That's all you gotta do. You just gotta shoot. That's all you gotta do. It's because Rasmus Dahlin turnover. Carrier takes it back up to Newhook. He just takes a long shot and it goes in. Lukanen can't believe it, man. He like lets it in and he just like kind of, oh no. Oh, look at that. Newhook doesn't even fire it. Like, it's kind of a knuckler. It's like rotating in the air. Oh my gosh, dude. Captain Montreal at this point, as we had said, Alex Newhook, with his Stanley Cup winning experience in Colorado, he
What it's called Donald. Yeah, I guess that's true. By the way, Ron, right?
That is correct.
Donald. I'm looking forward to that.
Sounds good. By the way, I went back to Salina City to buy some guitars. I also got the bike with the bike back and Billy getting that time and play.
Okay, I see you, Barack. By the way, how far are you going to progress today?
I think I'm just going to do the rock tunnel. It's pretty lengthy, especially without flat. You guys cool with that? Yeah, we're cool with that.
I know the rock tunnels would be annoying to get through without flags, but if you ever need our help, Barack, just let us know. We can help guide you.
Thanks for that, boy. I'll probably need your guidance throughout. I'm not going to lie.
No worries, Barack. How are you going to train up our team, by the way?
If it was up to me, I would want to train up Sardinia and leadership, but I can only imagine that this place is going to be infested with rock Pokemon. So Primate will probably end up getting the most experience from this tunnel.
Regardless, we'll have many more trainers after the rock tunnel to train up the Pokemon they want to train out. Just do what you gotta do to get past the rock tunnel in a stressful way possible.
I hear you, Donald. Thank God for these repels. Now we won't have to encounter those Zubats in the VODs.
I still don't know why they have this one random trainer standing at the entrance of the rock tunnel. It just seems weird.
Yeah, I get what you mean, Joe. But now the time has come, boys. It's time for the rock tunnel.
You got this, Barack?
Agreed. Go kill him, Barack. Thanks, boys. And of course, I knew we didn't have flash, and I knew that our vision would be limited. But sometimes I forget how impactful that can really be until we get in the tunnel itself.
It's okay, Barack. Don't panic now. If you don't know where you're at, my suggestion would be to stick to the wall. You'll find your way out eventually by doing that.
Well, I guess we already found a trainer by doing just that. Thanks for the tip, Donald.
These Pokemaniacs need to get a life. Just listen to Pokemon outfit hidden in a dark tunnel and gang up on 10-year-old girls who's passing by. Are you sure you're not talking about yourself, Joe? Please, Donald, don't start with that so far. Our conversations today have been good. Don't go messing that up because you disrespect it. Okay, chill out, Joe. Ron, be careful. Are you serious right now? This is how we're going to start the rock tunnel? You have to be more careful, Barack. That was bound to happen since you started the focus energy. I know you're in an annoying tunnel with no vision right now, but you have to focus up on the fight. Just like how Cubone used focus energy. Get it? Ha 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 ha.
Focus up like Cubone using focus energy. Ha ha ha. Good one, Donald.
When you said my jokes were bad, Donald, what the hell was that? Stop being a hater, Joe. Barack thought it was funny.
Yeah, well, he'll think anything is funny, so him laughing at your jokes is funny.
Why can't you just let me make jokes without you criticizing me?
The answer is simple. They're terrible jokes. Okay. Are we just going to go up against Pokemon who counter us? First it was Cubone with Bone Rock, and now it's Slowpoke with Fusion.
Calm the hell down, Barack. This is only the first trainer of the rock tunnel. It's panic now. How are you going to get past the other trainers? We need you on the top of your game.
Okay, just tell me where I need to go, Donald. I'm already off.
Okay, listen up, Rock. Stick by the walls, and you're going to want to go down a bit and then make a right. Then the walls will direct you to go up. If memory serves correctly, then there should be a staircase.
Yep, it's right there. Jesus Christ, thanks for that, Donald. I'm actually feeling suffocated from being in this tunnel without vision. What do I do now? I don't know where to go.
Holy crap, Rock. Didn't I tell you not to panic? Just take it one step at a time. Okay, it's my turn to guide you to Rock since Donald did it last time. Listen up. From where you entered this level of the tunnel, you're going to want to go straight down until you hit the wall and then make a left.
Okay, so from where I entered this level then, right?
You heard it, Rock. Now go straight down and then make a left.
Sounds good. Kind of curious, though. How the hell do you guys remember the fate of the rock tunnel? That being said, this question is more directed to Joe.
It's because I am the Pokemon Master.
Yeah, okay.
What? Don't reach the time to sing it. Is that an attitude you're carrying, Rock? You want my help or not? You want to go through rock tunnel yourself and be my guest?
I wasn't giving you an attitude. My bad, she came off like that.
Whatever you say, Rock.
Okay, but in all seriousness, more trainers and more Pokemon to count on the entire team. What the hell is wrong with this tunnel?
I'm telling you guys, it's the damn Pokemaniacs who don't do anything with their lives and live in the basement of their grandma's house with cookie crumbs on their stomachs.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good one. I'll give it. For once, Donald, thanks for the compliment. By the way, Barack, are you trying to encounter every single trainer and get every item, or are you just trying to speed run this tunnel?
I want to 100% complete it. Where do I go now?
Let's go left forward. Once you run into a wall, go straight up and then there's a door trainers there.
Sounds good. I just want to thank you guys for helping me out with this tunnel. If there's any way that I can make it up to you too, let me know.
I know of a way, Barack. Jesus Christ, here we go again.
Okay, tell me, Joe.
You gotta call me Daddy! I definitely didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, no, fuck that, Joe. I will not call you Daddy. Instead, I am just going to pay attention to this goddamn otter who just wants to be annoying by using stunts for us.
Holy shit, Barack, this is Targaryen. It's super effective against grass types if you didn't know that.
Shut the fuck up, Donald. Don't talk to me like that. You don't just happen to be in the front of the party.
Honestly, Barack, I think we should just bring up Targaryen and just we need to be good characters so I can finally release all the feelings that have been constantly built up. Yeah, no, fuck that, Barack. Don't ever bring up Targaryen again. Oh my God, knows what in the actual hell Joe is going to do with Targaryen. Shut the hell up, Donald. Look, Targaryen just whooped the favorite starter's ass. This is the chance to show that the character line is the best one.
Don't worry about his stupidity, Donald. If you fight fire with fire, then it's just going to end up with us somehow calling you Daddy. We fell for his shit once. Let's not do it again.
Okay, you're right, Barack. Thanks for reminding me. By the way, do you know where you're going?
Well, it just turns out that another trainer is on the way, so apparently I do, I guess. I'm just using your advice and sticking by the wall.
Well, would you look at that? This dude with no life has a Charmander and trying to show you how useless Charmander can be. Shut the fuck up, Donald. Don't ever talk bad about Charmander. Help us in many ways. I won't say that the most insanity of yours.
Okay, call me the mental pickles down, Joe. Donald was just talking trash for fun. That's all you did when a trainer had a Bulbasaur or a Squirtle that got wrecked.
You can talk with me, go to Barack.
Okay, I know what to do, Donald. I'm going to share a cube on the new one for almost killing off our Nidoking, don't worry.
I just hate how Charmeleon's here to use them in tunnel. It's totally unfair how this bullshit keeps happening. The first gym was rock and Charmander couldn't do much. The second gym was water and Charmeleon couldn't do much. The third gym was an exception, and Nidoking took over. Goddamn. I just want Charmeleon to be the star of the gym for once. Well, you won't have to wait long. The next gym figure is grass, so Charmeleon will have his time to shine.
Why, Donald?
Fucking foolish right now. Thanks for reminding me, Daddy. I mean Donald. God damn it, Barack, that's my dad.
It's fine. At least it's over.
Honestly, Barack, if you just want to speak through these trainers, then just keep primates out there. It literally counters all the Pokemon these trainers have, as well as any potential wild encounters.
Yeah, I know that, Joe. but I'm trying to train up the entire team. I just hate using one Pokemon for an entire section of the game.
It's fine, Joe. Yogi has big and take care of any rock type quite comfortably.
Okay, whatever you say.
What the fuck? How the hell did you survive that bullshit?
What is the actual fuck? Jesus fucking Christ. I swear to fucking God, how the hell did some random ass GOD get so lucky and nearly kill off our Nidos? These trainers aren't good. They're just lucky. Maybe it's time to let some Indians cook.
Fuck that, Joe. Charmeleon would have been a corpse by now had it battled against that GOD.
Yeah, for real. By the way, down. Where do I go now?
Just make a right, and then we can hit the wall. Go up.
Sounds good. Honestly, boys, I have no choice here but to just send out Primate first. I can't take any more of those bullshit fights against DODs who is on steroids.
God damn it, Barack. You gotta get Charmeleon a chance, though. He could have easily taken care of Mac up. You will never know until you give it a chance.
Okay, but how was I supposed to know that this trainer was sending out a Maptop first? Besides, what if it sent out a DOD or something?
Okay, Joe. You need to get over the fact that Charmeleon is just not good at this fucking tunnel. Stop getting hard over it. You can just objectively like me. Okay, whatever. I just want our early Pokemon trained up. I can't wait for us to have no Pokemon in the party because we're just getting old at this point.
We will go, don't worry about it. Donald, where do I go now?
He's already left and I think he's coming up the platform.
Thanks for that. Do you guys know where I'm supposed to go now? I honestly haven't made it this far without class before, so I'm completely lost. I'm stuck with you guys 100% from this point on.
I think you go up.
Like hell you do, Donald. Barack, let's head down. There should be a trainer nearby. Okay, I don't even know who to fucking trust at this point. How do I know what you guys are saying is right?
You can fucking trust me, Barack. I'm the Pokemon master, so I know how to guide you. Well, I guess Joe was right.
Fact.
You can trust Barack. You have no fucking option.
Fact.
Trust yourself. Our Pokemon journey is here because you'll never be able to make it out of your own without class.
Fact. Honestly, I can't say anything back to them because you guys are actually running. I just hope you two don't get us lost.
By the way, guys, just a random thought I had. How come we haven't seen a Graveler yet? We've literally faced level 25 GODs before, so that doesn't make any sense to me. Barack and I were mentioning this the other day, Joe. I don't know why trainers don't involve their Pokemon when they're capable of being involved. I would never understand it either.
Yeah, for real. Could you imagine us not evolving Charmeleon at level 36 and couldn't be?
Don't you even fucking think about that, Barack. I swear to God that I'm going to use the place for your goddamn residence to do that. Consider this a warning. Seriously, Barack? Why don't you even joke about that? You know Joe wants to not when it comes to the Charizard.
Okay, I guess I won't say anything fucking negative about Charmeleon. Or should I say, I won't say anything at all about Charmeleon. Because whenever we do, we can't get a normal response from Joe.
Okay, chill the hell out. You go back it down to this point.
Well, I kind of figured that since you told me to stick by the wall.
Once again, another fucking hydro, more rock Pokemon. What's new?
I mean, this is called the Rock Tunnel Joe. What the fuck do you expect? A dragon-type Pokemon?
I just wish there was more variety amongst these Pokemon that we have to go up against. It's just the same bullshit. Geodude, Onyx, Matchup, like goddamn. I know what you mean, Joe, but I will admit though, Onyx is a good amount of experience, so I can't complain about them. Yeah, I get it. But look, another fucking Geodude. Like, holy shit, I'm actually going to fall asleep watching this fucking gameplay, and it's not even Barack's fault. Okay, stop it with your bullshit, Joe. You're going to fall asleep regardless of what's going on in the game.
Like hell I will. I'll have you know that. Okay, let's calm the fuck down. I think we're all getting a little tense because of this annoying ass rock tunnel. Are we even close to finishing this rock tunnel?
I think we might be like halfway done to be on.
That's fucking damn. Okay, boys, it's all right. Let's just take it one trainer at a time. Where do I go now?
I think you just need to go up from this point, if I'm not mistaken. There are probably more trainers up there for you to battle.
I got to Donald. Oh, look, an escape rope. If we get lost in this tunnel, we can just use this and get a Pokemon that can learn Flash to get through this bullshit tunnel.
Nah, fuck that. You made a commitment, Rock. We will not use Flash for this fucking tunnel. That way, this game gives us more of a challenge. Okay, Joe, did you take your fucking medication? A little fancy today. But other than that, I agree with Joe. I think you should stick with it, Rock.
Okay, fine. Just gotta wait for the next time.
Fuck yeah. Okay, what's the actual possibility, Joe? Don't tell me you're busting your gun over a fucking grappler. Come on, guys. We've been begging for variety and fucking trainer has a goddamn grappler. This should be a fucking celebration. Who's with me?
I don't know about the celebration, but I do like the variety. But okay, back to business, boys. Where the fuck do I go from here?
Honestly, Barack, I have no fucking clue. I don't want to guide you in the wrong direction. Maybe you can just figure out if we get lucky.
Are you fucking serious right now, John? What the fuck happened to trusting you that you two will be the ones guiding me? Well, that's it then. We're going to get fucking lost.
Whoa. Hold on. You can trust me, Barack.
Okay, I have no other fucking option. What do you got for me, Joe?
For 1 second, that just because your dumbass forgot how to navigate through the tunnel, that it means that I can't either. Put some respect on my name, kid.
Well, then, okay, Joe. Go off then. Donald, do you remember where we kind of are now to give us to the next trainer?
Yeah, I think so. If I'm not mistaken, when you encounter the one with the city funds, you go down and make a left-right go.
You would be correct. Here's our millionth chance to get some experience, Joe. Just for you.
Oh, fuck! Yes, finally! I turn million! Yay! Okay, calm down, Joe. Calm down, look fast.
Let him have it, Donald.
Are you fucking serious right now? Fuck you, Pidgey, and your entire line. I swear to fucking God. The next time we see you, or any of your ball porn, you can eliminate this country, motherfucker, you kind of experience.
You know what? I'm not going to say anything about that, Joe. All I need to know, though, is that you're doing okay right now.
Yes, I'm fine. But from now on, boys, we will start teaching you each other and we're going to do everything we do. You understand this? Yes, we understand.
Okay, so you said you go down to the left, right?
That's right, Barack. I think there's a dude there that can put rock slides on the application. That would be the case of being on Sunday, Barack. With a strong team of rock slides.
Glad you think the same exact thing, Donald. Rock slide has more power and accuracy than rock speed, and even in the chance to flip. Finally, it's becoming more of a fucking beast. It's ridiculous at this point.
So I guess no one's going to ask me what I think about that. It's okay, though. I agree with you anyway. Our team is getting stronger and stronger. Good shit, boys.
Our bad, Joe. Where do I go after this, by the way?
I'm going to want to head back to where that last race. So right there, hit the back. There are more things done. Okay, so I don't want to say
I'm reading off the study to try to get an experience, okay?
sounds good. Good little thought.
Get the fun right, never do that.
Come on, son, maybe you survive to me. Fuck.
God fucking damn.
Fuck all this fucking work. I'm fucking tired of this big ass shit. Okay, I get to continue now. Doing this fucking thing.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want you to feel down about this, Joe. Chameleon will definitely have his time to shine.
Okay, I appreciate you two trying to do this for me, but I don't need that. Just demolish everyone who's fucking trying to for us.
This is happening enough. You cannot
Don't worry, Joe, I will do just that.
In all honesty, guys, I got the goddamn finances super overwhelming compared to the rest of our party, especially compared to our opponents.
Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about that. I'm still negotiating and Chameleon will step up to the same time. There are still plenty of families before the next year for you so don't have their opportunity there.
Hopefully that will be the case. By the way, we're on.
To be honest, I have no fucking clue. Where do I go from here?
Just go straight up if I'm not mistaken. That's the difference with the next three trainers or something like that. I'm glad to be impressed with your fucking memory, Joe. I guess you weren't demented after all. Good shit. How many fucking times do I have to say that I was never actually
People just want to fucking make fun of you and look back at you. That's fucking down to that good. That's the focus on the spirit for the good. That's the body there. Down and down. Fucking body. I'm second. Rock, what do you think? My answer is that I would surprise the truth of my family. They're both the candidates. I don't want to be surprised. Okay. Hold it, I can talk about what is happening. Judges! You're fucking okay, you guys go. It's seriously, guys. My name is so overwhelming that none of these parents is not going to get any serious learning like that. Okay, thanks for that, Donald. The brand is part of the tunnel. Let's go down to Rock.
That's good. You trade him next season. Good.
That's a fucking relief to hear.
Yeah, he's gonna be gone next season anyway, so yeah, he's gonna be traded.
I will still that man.
Yeah, Minty would be our second line center. I still need a top line left winger. Stenberg is not ready. Here's listen, maybe it's a 5-year extension. He's 30.
Fuck you. All you do is think of the fucking town of the side coast. I gotta think on people. Okay, that's enough of you two. One of you guys just tell me where the fuck is the rest of this guy. It's going down. All I have to say is that they fucking is that with the case? I'm not going to respond to that because this is that's a topic that I'm all for. The right to fuck giving it oh, give it a product. Sorry, the product is getting sorry. Okay, Dylan. You need to get your delusional ass out of here with that. But not that everything that you just fucking do it anymore. Are you sure that you're correct? There's another fucking left time. Okay, so something left out. Just focus on the exit line. That's my main focus right now. Do it something again. Okay, fuck off. I will do that, of course. After this battle, you want to make a flood left, you go up with this world, and you're going to want to hit that down and go left. There is no thing inside that. You understand? I think I got the gist of it. Here's the pearl you were speaking of. Because you know the Pokemon games is best out of all the hours I've spent in Pokemon games. Would you be able to help us with Pokemon in this front door by trying to get something that's follow away? I don't know those games as well because I invest more time in those things. Fire Red Junkies. We choose to get Pokemon Blue. Oh, Pokemon Red. Pokemon Red. Pokemon Red. Yeah, Yeah, I guess we'll find out how useful you are when you get to those meetings once you finish up this file. That's very true. Okay, make fun of the margin on. Just give me the discussion. Give me the history. Because I have fucking sent it in the box.
Fuck yes.
Well, it's an experience today. You're not fucking with you. I'm not fucking with you, too. That's what I'm. It's a bit fair this time. You're going to want to left to the next one. The extra, just this morning, we can benefit.
Honestly, so, this job navigating the lots and lots of it was like lots of fun. But yeah,
What's up? Don't fuck with me. You can fucking stop.
Fuck!
Fuck that stuff. The training for that kind of. I don't even know what the stuff is conversation is. But I'll just say thank you for did a great job navigating these two long ways.
Ooh, there we go.
No problem, Ron. You have to fucking kill that dude.
Damn it! I wanted not to. No!
You're right, I keep on it. That dude is the best thing that is getting this fucking answer and Ron. Oh, are you fucking serious? This is the ball form. Fuck this shit up around me.
I'm gonna overpay your ass.
Yeah, for real. I'm holding shit down. I'm gonna fucking spend it over the I just want to get spent it up. They're probably right about that somewhere. I don't want to see another something like this. Oh, well, you call it Donald. This will be Honda.
Yeah, I guess that's true. By the way,
I used to post maple sign, so he would be my second line buck winner. So he could play with Minton and the Turk Rock and Tourist ever be on the front.
Once again,